Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the differences between an INFJ and an INTP. So an INFJ's function stack is NI, FE, TI, then SE, whereas an INTP's is TI, NE, then SI, FE. So they do share the TI-FE axis. Um, there are plenty of similarities between them. They naturally they're both introverted intuitives, and so they're excuse me. They can both seem maybe in their separated from the world, kind of maybe not exactly in the world. They can both seem very TI heavy. They can both seem very like they are trying to be objective about things, but their perception axes are going to be totally different. And an INFJ is leading with NI, whereas an INTP has NE and SI somewhere in there. So there is a sense in which lead NI and lead TI are opposites. And it's the sense that NI is the most undifferentiating function. Really, NI is kind of like the way that it comes off is kind of like the blanket in I Heart Huckabees, where it's trying to see everything as the same. It's trying to see everything without distinguishing any part of it. All is one. I think this is where a lot of like mystical stereotypes of NI come from. TI, on the other hand, is the most differentiating in a sense. It's trying to get down to the peculiar core, the core differences between two things, right? Like if you ask an INTP, what's the difference between a dog and a wolf? They're really going to try to get at the exact differences, or like a bee and a hornet, like a toad and a frog. Like that's really where TI shines. Is, hey, how is this thing that is similar but categorically different from this other thing? How are these two things different? That's really letting TI shine, is asking someone that question, or a question of that flavor. NI DOMs, so INFJs, I guess this is true, INTJs as well. It's like they invent their own idioms, right? We have idioms in language, like don't make a mountain out of a molehill, don't cry over spilled milk, right? These phrases that we have packed so much meaning into. INFJs who don't really display that much FE, or similarly INTJs who don't display that much TE, maybe it's not developed very well, they'll try to pack everything into idioms. It's crazy, and they're just like inventing idioms, but a given INFJ's idioms will be consistent. The same INFJ will say, I'm having art problems, and they'll say it today, and they'll say it months from now. And but what they mean, when you say something like that, this brand new idiom that has never been coined before, you're not being precise. People don't really know what you mean. I mean, they can. If you're fine reading between the lines, that's fine. Okay, I'm having art problems. Sure, I'll parse your idiom and figure out what you mean. Um, but not everyone is comfortable parsing their idioms, um, and and so some people can have just weird communication barriers with them. Uh, INTPs will not do this. They're not inventing their own idioms. They're trying to be very precise with their language. An INTP, you can take their language at face value. It means exactly what it sounds like, exactly what they're saying. That's what they mean. Oh, great. Oh, that's marvelous. INTPs are very clear in that regard. Um, they are not condensing, they're not compressing meaning into smaller units of language. Um, they they're picking out words meticulously. And one of the net effects in the way this results is that INFJs will seem really confident, and INTPs will not feel confident at all. INTPs, uh, the way they come off is like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this exactly right. Um, okay, here's me using some language that is uh, maybe not the most common language, but it's it's very precise. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna keep using the word precise in this video, because that does capture so much of what they're going for, and the net effect that it has on their appearance. An INFJ is, and that whole like finding just the right word thing, that whole meticulous speech aspect, makes them seem unsure of themselves, right? You can't be sitting there figuring out exactly what the right word is and seem that confident about what you're saying. Um, even if you're confident in your understanding, just the way that like being precise, because it's a precision in the moment thing. It's a, I'm figuring out the right words right now, right now. That's what you're looking at with an INTP. With an INFJ, those idioms that I mentioned, those are prefabricated. They've already created the idiom before. Um, excuse me. You're not watching them create new idioms on the fly, um, unless they are. But like with an INFJ, a lot of times they just have like their set of idioms, and okay, cool. When they're talking, they seem so confident because it's the same idiom that they've said before. Um, just okay, here it is again today. The same thing that I saw a couple months ago. Life life has not changed. The universe is doing the same thing. Here is the universe doing the same thing, and it just comes off with this air of like, yep, sure, there it is again. That's that's the universe. In this way that is like, right, even if the specific things are different, even if I don't know, they're dating someone else, they're living somewhere else, um, whatever specifics of their life has changed, that sort of confidence that they speak about things with is just this like, yep, this is the sense in which everything's the same. In a way that can feel like they're ignoring life's peculiarities in this way that I don't know, I imagine it's like the Buddha of just like, yep, life is still doing the universe is still doing the same thing. Ah, yes, we're still caught in the human drama. Ah, we're still caught in dharma, whatever. Let's see, what's another good one? So that's a way that lead and I ends up feeling a great amount of the time. Yeah, just versus lead TI. But let's also talk about NE, right? So there's also NE in there for the INTP. And the way that NE is going to come off, one of my favorite examples of NE actually comes out of a show of an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, where there's this episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Reese has like joined the military and he's paratrooping down somewhere, and as he's paratrooping, he's like playing word association with himself. He's like, oh, I'm paratrooping, and hey, paratrooping sounds like this other word, and oh, that word makes me think of this other word, and that makes me think of this thing and that thing and that thing. And then he's just like sitting there like thinking all these things, and then he's like, oh wait, and then he like reverses the whole process. He goes that thing back to this thing, back to that thing, back to the up, and then it goes all the way back up to I'm paratrooping. Ah! And he's like really like freaked out. But I think that's such a great illustration of NE, because when you see NE in use actively, this is just a clear signal of NE, is someone doing this backtracking of associations, where, right, not only did Reese move forward through his associations, but you got to watch him backtrack them in real time and get back to the original one. You'll see INTPs do this thing when they if an NE user branches off, they can trace the lateral steps back home. INFJs do not do this. NI users just don't do this, period. If they bring up some unrelated point in conversation that had nothing to do with what you guys were just talking about before, and you ask them, hey, where did that come from? How did you get from here to there? They just can't tell you. They just, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I don't know. This is the new thing we're talking about now. I don't know how I got there. Whereas, yeah, INTPs, it's readily available in their consciousness. Oh, this is the path that I took. I can trace it. And I mean, just asking someone about that straight up, like, they might not exactly know what you're talking about. But if you ask someone right after they change subjects in conversation, that's the best point to ask them about, to look for this signal in particular, right? Because people aren't always super self-aware about themselves. But yeah, when they do it, as people inevitably change topics, yeah, you can boom, pinpoint it. Yeah, so that's what I got for you. In summary, INFJs create their own idioms and try to condense meaning into idioms, and they feel confident. They come across as confident when they say them. INTPs try to use precise language first and foremost. It's not like INFJs aren't TI users, but it's not what they're doing first and foremost. first and foremost, INTPs are using precise language, and it makes them not come off as nearly so confident in what they're saying. All right,